It all kicked off with an article in Traction magazine back in 2005 which showed a cameraman stood there looking across there, and it just struck me as being a good location to build a model of. Hi, I'm Mike Knowles. I'm with members of the Hessel Model Railway Group based near Hull. This is my own layout, Boston Frodsham. It's based on two prototype locations, one being the entrance to Boston Docks with the swing bridge and the control building, and incorporating also the wharf at Frodsham in Cheshire, hence the name of the layout. We actually went to the location at Boston, and it was remarkably easy to walk around it and take some photographs, and I've got some very good detailed shots of the control building, including the stairs down to the locking room at the bottom. So it was surprisingly easy, I must admit. It's been a multitude of industries. At the time I got the photographs, it was acting as a scrapyard, which is sort of what I'm looking at the moment, if you like. But in the past, I think it's been used for unloading grain barges, all sorts of stuff over the years. It's had various owners. But it gave me the excuse to model the RB22 crane, which is something I fancied doing. The scenic part of the layout is roughly 8 feet by 18 inches. It's modelled to 4mm scale P4 track gauge, which is 18.83. The reason I went that route, I just wanted to try and prove to myself that I could build a working layout in P4 gauge, which by and large I think has been successful. The storyline behind the layout is that due to recent upsurge in traffic, the sidings have been completely relaid, as they were at the prototype location at Boston in early 1990. They've been completely relaid with new ballast, new track and a new formation. Behind the fence towards the back of the layout, they're basically finishing off taking up the old tracks and reinstating the ground adjacent to the warehouses, and obviously installing some new drainage as well. The sides of the swing bridge are basically the Wills varigirder sections, which are just modified to produce the curved ends as per the prototype. The deck is, if I recall correctly, just a piece of thick plastic card, overlaid with representation of decking made from plywood stained with wood stain, basically. It doesn't operate. I thought that was maybe a step too far, particularly in P4 gauge. The woodwork on that it's basically mahogany strip wood obtained from a local model shop in Hull that actually specialises in radio controlled bolts and such like. So it's just thin mahogany strip wood. It's been painted with thin washes of grey acrylic paints, and then some various washes and weathering powders just to stain it down. But the idea was to give it that look of weathered, worn timber that's been sat in the sunshine for 100 years and gradually bleaching away, which again, I think it's come out reasonably well. First time I've ever modelled water, and I've put it off for a long time, but it is basically painted the boards with a mixture of Tamiya acrylic paints in whatever colours, browns and greens, to produce a slightly sludgy appearance. It was then given a couple of layers of PVA, ensuring by use of a test piece that the PVA does dry clear. Some of the cheaper ones don't. On top of that, then, to make the ripples, it was a deluxe materials making waves, which is like a very thick, almost like a paste, and it was applied using a very fine 00 brush and just running it out along, very slow process, and just running it along, which produces a series of ridges. Then overlaid that with 2 further coats of PVA, so the meniscus effect of the PVA evened it out and made it look more into a ripple rather than a series of ridges. And then on top of that, it's had about 4 coats of gloss varnish to give it the final finish. And yeah, I think it's worked out fairly well, yeah. There has been a variety of traffic. Again, going back to the magazine article, it showed the Redland self-discharge train coming in there. Over the years, they've had all sorts of traffic. They've had specialised sand for glassware, lime, various other aggregates, steel traffic. So the traffic I'm modelling, I'm not saying is an exact representation of exactly what ran at Boston over the years. It's more what interests me and such like, and in some ways slightly unusual. So the traffic comes in at the right-hand end as though it's coming in from the main line, splits into the 3 reception stroke departure sidings, and from there, because of a weight restriction on the bridge, which prevents mainline locos crossing the bridge, as it does in the prototype location, they have a variety of shunters, which again, they have changed over the years, which take the traffic over the bridge and down into the docks at the left-hand side of the layout. They primarily have had class 03 and 08 shunters based there, and at times they have had the both of them coupled together running as a pair. Some have been privately owned, some have been BR owned, so again, variety over the years. I want to perhaps redo the back scene. I'm not quite happy with that, and basically it's a further ongoing work with locos and rolling stock. At the moment, I've just recently completed the 25, but there's 31, I've got a 37 at home, and more wagons, just whatever comes along, if you like. So the layout itself is more or less there, yeah.